Hello, everybody. Happy February 10th, 2021. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is a special edition of the Connecticut Sports Talent Show where I have two players from WNE. This is a part two of a roundtable discussion of these Connecticut talents who have chose to go to WNE, where WNE, which I'm saying quite a few times, is Western New England. They have a plethora of Connecticut talent, and I had two on yesterday, and AJ Hall and Ricky Montalvo, and now I have, to my right, I'll introduce first, he's a sophomore quarterback from Cromwell, Bryce Carstetter. Bryce, thanks so much for being able to come on.
Thank you, Chris. Excited to talk about stuff.
And I'm also pleased to have the junior defensive back from Windsor, Jerry Woodard. Jerry, thanks so much for being able to come on.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you.
First and foremost, guys, I think before we talk about your time at Western New England, and I'll stay with Jerry first, being from Windsor, and I've talked to both the special teams coach at Windsor as well as now the sophomore quarterback. First thing I'm forgetting, but last name Cromartie, and just the amount of talent that Windsor has produced. When you were going to Windsor High School, did it ever kind of strike you like I'm around potential Division I, Division II guys as a freshman?
Yeah, going into my freshman year of high school, we had so much talent that a freshman like me was not going to be touching the field my senior. So my freshman year, we had seniors like Kavon Bennett that was getting looks. We had Malik Rushes. We had John Nolans. Then we had junior classes that was like Tyler Coyle. You may know they were juniors at the time. Isaiah Huffs, Benny Foles, Jordan Knight. So, and then the sophomores was like Jason Pinnock. That's about to enter the draft right now. So it was just like me as a freshman, it was so much that I could learn and actually build on. And I was so glad to be a part of it at the same time because I'm like, okay, I'm only a freshman, but I have 4 years to learn from all these great group of guys. So it was like Windsor just always had talent left and right, no matter what sport it was either.
Do you think being around all that talent in some ways, although I'm sure you wanted to start, but kind of helped your development as a player from where you were then and then now, because you were around, like you mentioned, numerous high Division I guys, a player that's going to potentially have a chance to be drafted high. Being around all that kind of allows you, and I like to use this analogy, I would rather bake in an oven and be ready at the right time than be in the microwave and then still be cold by the time the time's done.
I was definitely it was a great experience being around all those guys because then you get to learn, especially during practices, you get to learn everything. They're willing to always teach you what they know, plus they're always learning. So once they learn what they just learned, if that makes sense, they're going to teach me what they just learned. But like it was always great to be around those guys because they knew a lot of things that I didn't know, and I'm just thankful that they were grateful to bring it down towards me.
Now, going up against, I'll stay with Jerry here real quick. Going up against, pardon me, some of those high-profile wide receivers and some of the imposing guys, do you think, though, too, it kind of also helped your play as a defensive back because you were kind of getting, if you didn't bring your best, your butt was on the bench. You had to produce, even if you knew that you were not playing, because you had to prepare those guys for the varsity games.
Yeah. So we had a thing called the scout team, and luckily I was good enough to be on the scout team, which is basically the starters versus like the JV team, as you say. But we were so like stacked that year that we had a good enough JV team. So we would definitely give them a little challenge, and I would watch a lot of film that year to see like what the other teams are running and doing, and I would try to mimic them. So that also helped me to get like receiver reps or help on my footwork or extra DB work against the receivers and stuff like that. It definitely helped going against them. So it's almost like a game. So going against them for all year is just anything anybody can ask for. You're going against the top talents.
That's really good to hear. Now this question's for Bryce. Now looking at kind of Cromwell, I mean, my first thought of Cromwell is I think of, because I play Legion ball here in Connecticut, and Legion Ball, RCP. I don't know if you may have heard of them. RCP, Rocky Hill, Cromwell, Portland, because they had a combined, and they were a very good Legion team. Now, Cromwell, from to my knowledge, is not like a Windsor or a Waterbury. Very big, very very small, but somehow they still produce a lot of talent. And my question, for you, Bryce, did you know kind of going into your freshman year that you weren't going to be around these high profile players, but still there was talent on the team?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it starts with like in Cromwell, like for Cromwell football, our coaching staff, our head coach now who took over my junior year, Randall Bennett, he went to Grambling. Our linebackers coach, Coach Baker, he went to Central and played linebacker there. And then my senior year, Andre Dixon from UConn, coach our running backs. So I think that kind of started a little bit when I started realizing that, okay, Randall, especially Randall, because he came from Cromwell, like you see that having a town so much different than like a Windsor. Like I only had like 130 kids in my senior class, like such a smaller town that you could still like do something from there and come from there. And growing up, like we had big people coming all the time. Like basketball was big when I was younger. Isaiah, he came out and he went Isaiah Salafia, he went to Yale. That was a big deal. And then baseball was always big. I mean, our baseball coach in that program at Cromwell was always top notch, and we saw that through all the players. And like you said, RCP is like a big thing. So definitely a lot of talent for such a small town. And I think sometimes Cromwell doesn't get the respect because like it's such a small town, but I think now people are starting to realize how many actual like big time athletes come from Cromwell.
Now, going, like I mentioned, your freshman year, did you have the same experience as Jerry? Because either maybe players ahead of you, the quarterback position, there's only one quarterback that can play on the varsity level. It's not like wide receiver where there could be up to 3, 4, 5 depending on what scenario. So did you have to wait your turn, or was it something where you won it from the time you stepped on the field?
Yeah, I didn't start to my sophomore year. So kind of similar to Jerry saying, I like what you said about their reference about like the oven and the microwave. Like I agree with that. I think it was good to get in there. That senior class as a freshman was a very large class for Cromwell, which is still smaller, probably like 12 seniors, 15 seniors. And they're a very good class. So it was good for me to get in there. There was one game I was able to start, and that was a big thing for me going to sophomore year because I felt like I was able to learn the offense and stuff, but still able to have like that one game where I actually got to understand how fast the game was and how, the whole experience of like game day in high school, which, know coming from like youth football. But yeah, definitely took 1 year and I had to learn everything. And then by my sophomore year, I was able to get into it.
Do you think as you progress from your freshman to sophomore and then sophomore, junior, senior, and so on, do you think that because you did not go to a big school, and no disrespect to the Windsors and to the other big schools, do you think because you went to a smaller school that there was maybe a little bit more one-on-ones and, like everybody knows each other? It's not like where it's, you don't know who is across the hall, like everybody. Do you think that kind of helped your development in some sense as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Even just being in class S, just being in like, a smaller, in the Pequot conference, even the Pequot conference, like, everyone, like, the big players on every team. So that definitely helps you as a player develop, especially with your coaches, because you have so much time, to spend with them. And a lot of our coaches aren't even like, some coaches at some schools, coach multiple sports or are teachers. And luckily we had a couple coaches that were teachers and stuff like that, but still like, we were able to during the season develop as players because they had time to spend with us, which was huge.
That's something too. I know you mentioned the Pequot, and I've had numerous coaches and players on, and same thing also for Windsor from the CCC. I think both those conferences are very, very competitive in their own right. The CCC, I mean, we're now, Jerry, I don't know if you've been following as far as the high school landscape for basketball, but East Catholic has been dominant the last few years. Windsor with Primo Spears and all those guys who now are gone, but still they had their run. And then Bryce, when you mentioned about the Pequot, as far as just looking at, I mean, there's a kid at Coggenshaw who has 22 offers. He's a wide receiver, Evan Fiella. And I just feel like, and I'll stay with Bryce here. Did you ever feel like going through your time in the Pequot that you had to do extra because there's always that stigma, kind of like with Ohio State quarterbacks? Even I saw Justin Fields. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks I've seen, but they had him. I think it was Todd McShay. he had him the 4th quarterback taken in the draft behind Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance. So did you feel like you had to fight that stigma in a sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even like I get here sometimes, and you hear kids from like TCC like, make jokes about the Pequot, but the Pequot is definitely like every conference. You have your years, your high years, and your low years. But it's a very competitive conference, and you could tell that football in the Pequot means a lot to each team because we're such small towns and stuff. But definitely, yeah, like going to like when I started going to quarterback coaches in high school, I would get there and there'd be all these kids from these big schools and they didn't know my name. I might have known theirs, from seeing them on, Friday Night Football, or stuff like that. But sooner or later down the road, like you start to gain that knowledge about everyone around the conferences, and then they start realizing you as you develop as a player. So definitely a little different coming from such a smaller conference. But even like in the summer going to passing leagues, we were able to play like Maloney, Sheehan. There was tons of schools in that conference or in that passing league that we were in that were bigger schools that we were able to play, which was awesome.
And you mentioned about being, playing against the bigger schools and being able to be around that much talent. And this question is going to be for Jerry. Do you think because of the amount of success that Windsor had and knowing that, making the playoffs, making it far, being able to go up against the best and being around, obviously now because of COVID, you can't be around fans, but at the time, being around such a plethora amount of fans and such and being in that atmosphere, it kind of helped you as far as a player to be able to calm your emotions and just see ball, see player, hit player, and away we go.
I definitely do think fans is a big part of the game. I personally haven't played without fans yet. So if we happen to, like, say we have a season we can't play without fans, I'm not sure. I'm going to still do what I do, but I definitely do think fans bring up the energy up and the dog, the quote unquote dog that you have out of you. It's just a whole like experience that just feels good when you make a good play and you get to look in the crowd and you see like everybody cheering you on and you get hyped with the crowd. It's just an experience that I feel like everybody should have or know.
Do you think being around that with Windsor as a player kind of helped in some ways prepare you for where you are now at WNE because of the amount of success that Western New England has had as far as with wins and championships? It's almost like you went from the Patriots to, I mean, I know the Cowboys are not good now, but like the Cowboys from the 90s, because you went from one great team and now you're on another great team, or in this case, a great program.
It definitely helps. So like so I've been since I've been at Windsor, I've been to 2 championships. I played in 1, but I've been to 2, but I've played in the semifinals also. But so Western New England, their normal crowd is basically what our championship crowds are. Ian, I played basketball also at Windsor. So, like how you play at Buckley, how packed the gyms are. So I've definitely been around that atmosphere. So it never really bothered me when I got to Western New England and saw how many fans was in there. Only that bothered me was probably my first game ever because, that's just how it is when your first college game against a really great team at that. It's just, you got the nerves. But I definitely came into college ready and prepared for the fans. It never really shook me or bothered me or nothing.
Yeah, Buckley, I remember doing a game there a couple years ago, Middletown against Sacred Heart. And both sides, both Middletown and Sacred Heart brought the crowds. Like I didn't think Sacred Heart, and that's my former high school, and I didn't even know that they would bring as many people as they did. They packed the gym. It was one side Sacred Heart, fully amount of people. Same thing with Middletown on the right. But I did not know that you played basketball. And I feel like, and again, you could correct me if I'm wrong, Jerry, but to connect basketball with defensive back, I feel like there's a lot of same movements when you talk about the backpedaling, the eye vision, certain things. I'm sure you can talk about it more than I can and better eloquently than I can, but I feel like there's a lot of comparisons with your development as a defensive back playing basketball.
Yeah, basketball. Well, when I played basketball in my 4 years of high school, everybody knew I was strictly on defense. You know, I feel like I can score the ball, but that wasn't my role at the time. So I just played defense and always guarded the point guard, and it definitely helps with your like hip movements and the shuffles and actually like picking up your feet and everything. Because if you slide your feet as a DB, you're gonna lose that 1-on-1 battle, and you have to be able to move lateral and everything. You have to be able to just move. You have to be quick on your feet, quick with your hips and everything. So playing basketball definitely helped me with being able to play DB at the next level.
Now, Bryce, did you play any other sports besides football, or was football your main sport?
I played baseball for a couple years in high school. I was a big catcher when I was younger, and then I had knee surgery in high school, and then I played outfield for a little bit. But yeah, pretty much football, I would say.
Do you think even, kind of getting away from baseball and just focusing mainly on football helped your development as far as a quarterback and a football player in some sense?
Yeah, I think it did. One of my main reasons when I stepped away from playing baseball was because I would often see my throwing mechanics change because the difference between throwing a baseball and throwing a football is so different. So I'd play, baseball in the spring all summer, and I'd get to fall, and for it take me honestly a month or even longer to get back to my throwing motions. And I think that played a big role into it. That was kind of like, okay, I need to step back in baseball and really focus on, throwing in the winter as well as lifting and getting a little bigger. So yeah, that's why I stopped playing baseball.
And I'll stay with Bryce here. That focus on just mainly football, I mean, it showed by getting to Western New England. But when did you yourself think that, oh, okay, I think I'm good enough to be able to play at the next level? Was it your end of your junior year? Was it the end of your sophomore year? Was it your senior year? What year was it?
It was kind of I would say personally, probably my senior year is when I started in the beginning of senior year. Um, we started doing very good things with our program and stuff, but all the way from the beginning as a freshman, not personally, but Randall, he was big in our head coach, Coach Bennett. He was big in like making us realize that we're good players and that we should all play at college. He kind of made our program like all of our lifts and our weekly schedule. He would try to base it off of what like he did in college. So that kind of made us all realize that, okay, if we could do this in high school, we should be able to do in college. And then when I got to senior year, and I was able to have some success on the field, that definitely built my own confidence and made me understand that, okay, I think I have something, I could do something with this.
Same question for you, Jerry. When did you think that, and I'm sure it was early on because you strike me as a very confident player. When did you think that, you know what, I think I could play at the next level. I think I'm good.
It was my sophomore year of high school when it was either Jason Pinnock or Isaiah Huff got hurt. And I had to start that game. And I've never played varsity. This is my first time playing varsity ever. I've never played varsity before. It was like fourth game of the season. And it was like I count it as a pick, but it was a fake. The other team ran a fake punt. And I caught an interception that game. And I was like, okay, well, I'm on the field with a bunch of great players like Jason Pinnock, Tyler Coyle, Jordan, all of them are great players. So I'm like, if I could catch a pick with them on the field, then I could probably play anywhere right now because I know they're going somewhere. So I was like, if I can play next to them, then who's to say I can't play the higher level once I get older? So my sophomore year, I pretty much knew I could play at the next level in college.
And when did Western New England start to touch base with you? When did they start to show interest?
It was so long ago. I think I want to say my junior year, but I only remember really them talking to me my senior year. And the only reason why I really remember that is because they were one of the few teams that keep in contact with me after football season, like while I'm in basketball season or even lacrosse season. They was always wanting to check up on me, how I'm doing in the season and all that. But I think it was junior year, but I definitely remember like beginning of senior year throughout the whole year. They always stayed in contact with me.
That's interesting that you said that about how they always checked up on you because AJ and Ricky said the exact same thing when they were getting recruited. it seemed like, and Bryce, you're shaking your head, so I'm assuming that was the same thing with you. It seems like when they recruit players, and I'll just stay with Connecticut because that's the only thing I know, it seems like the Connecticut players, like I said, I'll stay, go to Bryce here. They want to check up. They want to make sure that if they have their eye on a Connecticut player, they don't want that player to leave. They want to make sure that that player knows, hey, we're interested. We just want to make sure you know that.
Yeah, for sure. No, they definitely did that. I mean, I would get texts, and I think the good thing about how Coach Brez is a great recruiter. I mean, he would send me funny texts all the time, and send me stuff on Twitter and stuff. But it was always, for me, the thing with how Western New England recruited is how personable the coaches were with us as players. And I would come in like on my first visit, and at that point I only knew Coach Brez, and I saw Coach LeBeau, and he introduced himself to me, and he knew my name already, and he knew stuff about me. Same with the offensive coordinator at that time, who ended up leaving, but he knew my name, and they just, like, you could tell they put the effort into understanding each player, even if they don't know. At that point, I wasn't committed. I was just, still looking. And, I mean, it really meant a lot to me to have them show that they really cared, and really put the effort into knowing my name and reaching out to me all the time, texting me, seeing how you're doing and stuff like that. So that was awesome.
That's the kind of stuff that I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying that other college coaches don't realize that, but I think, being able to have that, something that a small gesture like, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's your family? Hey, how's, even just getting away from, football, like, Jerry, hey, how's basketball going? Hey, just stuff like that. And I'll stay with Bryce here. I feel like that little effort to high school kids at the time, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. First, I'll stay with Bryce here. I feel like really goes a long way, because then it shows that you guys are wanted. And that's where you want to go. You want to go where you are wanted, where you have an opportunity to not be just, hey, that's number 10. Who's number 10? Oh, I don't know. No, number whatever, that's Price. And number whatever, that's Jerry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I remember coaches coming in and talking to us when we were at school. We'd have a group of kids there, and they would come in and kind of talk about their programs and stuff. And it was always very general, and you could tell they were kind of robotic, going through their PowerPoint or their pamphlets that they handed us. And even on visits, I would go on the visit, and my recruiting coach would obviously know me. Then when I went to meet like the head coach or the quarterback coach or anything like that, they would ask me what my name is and stuff like that. And it always, when you leave that, it kind of leaves you kind of like, am I going to this program to be just to be like a football player for them and just win them games, or am I actually joining like a good culture and a family? And that was what, WNE was just so amazing about. Like I said, I walked in, coach knew my name. He knew things about me, said stuff about high school and, who I played, and, made jokes and stuff like that. And it just meant a lot. It meant a lot to have them understand me and put the effort into knowing me when they didn't even need to at that point.
Jerry, same question for you.
Yeah, Brez was my recruiter also. I believe he does everybody in CT. But he made it sure that we got to know each other. Like, I remember it's like spring of my senior year. He found out that I used to watch wrestling. So he'd text me and be like, "Did you watch the Monday Night Raw or something?" Or like, Did you see the Royal Rumble? And we'll just start talking about, he's a huge wrestling fan still to this day. But we'll just start talking about random things, and just like, he'll just randomly check up on me. He just always made sure that like talking to him was just like, just making it home, like, just making it very comfortable. It wasn't nothing weird or not. It wasn't always about football, always stressing, oh, you should just come here. No, it wasn't like that. Or it was just simply just asking how I'm doing or how am I feeling today or something like that.
That's why Coach Brez is one of the best recruiters, at least that I know, as far as recruiting in Connecticut. He's done fantastic work. And I'm not just saying that because I've talked to him a bunch. I really, truly believe that. I'll stay with Jerry here. Looking at kind of your freshman, and, I'm going to switch gears to now from your freshman to sophomore year. I noticed the games played went up, total tackles went up, but the 4 interceptions, that's very, very impressive. What can you tell me as far as from your freshman to sophomore year that changed so much?
My sophomore year, I was extremely confident in myself. So the reason why my freshman year I wasn't so confident yet is because I was actually third string corner. I was like, it was the starters, it was Tommy and Zaire, and then it was Tucker and Devin, and then me. Mm-hmm. So I was looking at like no playing time at the time. But what happened was my freshman year, I ended up starting in the conference championship, actually. And they say they didn't just throw me out to the wolves, but I believe they threw me out to the wolves. But I was ready for it. But like, imagine a freshman just coming in, their first like actual game is in the conference championship. So my confidence wasn't always there. But sophomore year, I started from the jump. So like throughout the season and actually watching like more and more film and looking back at how far I've grown, I've just became way more confident. I believe I'm more confident now. Like, I can't wait to play. I believe I'm easily going to get more than 4 interceptions, but that's just me. I'm just a confident person. So,
a dangerous player is one that's confident. I think that goes for all sports: football, basketball, baseball, hockey, lacrosse, you name it. A player that has confidence is a dangerous player for multiple reasons. We're just about, out of time, but I want to go back to Bryce real quick. I know being quarterback, one position, hard to get on the field. I know the playing time hasn't been there, but I'm sure you're putting in the work. How has it been for you sitting behind? And it's not a bad thing because you're, like I said, you're baking. You're going to get an opportunity. I feel like it's going to happen at some point. Will you be ready?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you get used to it. You make the coaches kind of make you ready in this program because you're competing in everything you do. I mean, just like when I hear Jerry say something about I'm easy going to get 4 interceptions, I think, well, he's not going to get any in practice. That's the first thing I think. So like, it's just always competing, and that kind of builds that confidence in you and makes you understand if last year WNE was the conference championships and won the conference champions, and I could compete with them in practice, so I could run a scout team and have success at some points. That gives you the confidence you need to that when you go into the game, think, okay, I've been against these guys like this or guys better than this, and I'm ready for this. So definitely, took the time, and like I said, we're still competing. Every day is a competition at WNE for sure, and it's just a great program to have that competition. It really fuels everyone and makes everyone really want it.
Guys, I really do appreciate you coming on, being able to offer up your time. And I know you guys have busy schedules, but being able to come on, share your stories from Windsor and from Cromwell, and also a little bit about your time, why you chose WNE and what you've been doing, obviously with COVID and with everything that's going on. But Bryce, thanks so much for being able to come on. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. Meant a lot. Thank you very much.
Jerry, thanks so much as well for being able to come on. I really do appreciate it as well.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Now wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. And remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent, and I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody. And enjoy the rest of your day.